everyone to the BIA Board of Management meeting. It's now 7:07, so I think we're going to start the meeting. And with that, we will start with an approval of the agenda. But before I go with that, actually, Kayla, I was thinking I'd like to add some items to the agenda, and then if anyone else has items for the agenda, we can add them in as we go, like now, right? Just hop in here, Kayla, if I'm doing this wrong. But what I wanted to, after we discuss business arising from the minutes, street decor events, actually maybe before events, I'd like to discuss the COVID recovery and reopening plans and what Sarah and I discussed with Clearview Township this week, so that we can just sort of go over what we're talking about and where those plans are kind of shaping up. And then I'd also like, under events, I'd like to talk about any summer ideas. I have a couple here. So just not really event ideas, but just summer kind of promotion or, town ideas. And then under financial report, Sarah, I hope you don't mind me sort of overstepping this for your area, but I'd like to discuss the budget. And I think we need to make some major changes to the budget tonight. Sarah, if you want to lead it, I'm happy about that. I think we just all need to kind of relook at the budget because a lot of things have changed in the last month, right? And that's all that I have for added things. And of course, marketing, I'm going to hand that part over to Karen. But anybody else have anything else they'd like to add to the agenda tonight before we get started? No, I don't hear anyone. Okay, great. So with that, I will ask for a resolution to approve the agenda for tonight with the updates that I've just made. Do I have somebody to make a motion? Oh no, wait, do I make a motion there? It's been so long since I've done this, Caleb. Be it resolved that the Creemore BIA Board of Management hereby approves the agenda dated May 12th, 2020 as presented. All in favor?
No, you need a first and a seconder.
Oh, sorry. Did anyone?
Yes.
It's hard to see people, so I'm not really sure how to do this.
Let's just Sarah and Doug's hand go up. Doug McKechnie.
Lori, are you on gallery view or do you just have the strip at the top?
I have the people down the side, but I don't have everyone. So is there a way to get everyone?
Yeah. You need to click the gallery view in your options.
Thank you. Okay, that works.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know. I only see 3 people. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hi, Doug. Welcome. Nice to see you. I understand you had a couple of meetings today.
Yeah, this is now number 5, so I'm really happy to join you. But I apologize for being a little bit late. I went over to the store to grab my my mail there at I don't know, 20 minutes ago, and everybody wants to talk as I'm walking out, so it took me a few minutes to get away. So
thank you for joining us. I appreciate that.
Nice to see you. Okay,
so we've just gone through the approval of the agenda, and now we're going to move. Did I do that right, or am I missing a step here? Okay, and then we're going to move on to the disclosure of pecuniary interest and any conflict of interest. If anybody has any they'd like to declare now, this is the moment to do it. Now that I see you all, this is great. Okay, so we're going to move on. Approval of the minutes. So like I was saying earlier, before we all joined in, that our last official meeting was March 10th when we had quorum. We did have just a brief meeting on April 16th, but we didn't have quorum, so it doesn't really count as official. So therefore, we'd like to do the approval of the minutes from March 10th, and Kayla sent those out in last week's email, if you have a copy of that from last week. So do I have somebody to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve.
Nancy's going to
second.
And Heather's going to second. All in favor of approving the minutes? Okay, so that is passed. Thank you very much. Business arising from the minutes. So this kind of is going to meld into some of the discussion we had from our last meeting in April. And here we are in May, but we're still talking about Santa Claus Parade. So we might ask, actually, Doug Measures, that's perfect timing for you, because we had discussed last time, you guys who weren't able to join us, Doug's been working sort of behind the scenes on getting help with the float, but the issue, it sounds like right now with the moving of the float and us purchasing the float, is that we don't have a storage area, and that's the real stumbling block. So Doug, I'll hand it over to you to give us any updates you might have.
I have no further updates other than the discussion on the 16th, but for the benefit of those that were not there, I'll review. But initially, I met with our contacted members of the Stayner and District Kinsman Club, because the guys in the Stayner and District Kinsman Club operate the Santa Claus Parade, or Santa Claus float, for the Santa Claus Parade in Stayner. And they have a similar float, you know, the reindeer, etc., all those things that make the beautiful float. Anyway, I approached them because I asked them if they would be interested in creating a partnership whereby, you know, we could throw some money at this thing and make this thing work to help, you know, their cause to make the float look really nice, as well as they have storage for a float. Anyway, that was the discussion. They initially thought it was a good idea, and then they backed off because they had just recently spent a lot of money on their own float. So they are not going to participate with us in a sort of a joint ownership type thing. They're more than happy to continue to do the float that they have, and good for them. So that being said, I then asked some questions about what type of storage we might have available, and the only storage that we would have in the foreseeable future is still about 24 months out, and that is the space that's along Huron Street, right next to the tourism building. The next building down actually is owned by the township as well, although it's on a long-term lease with the previous owner, FS Farms, and so that building will become available 22 months from now, perhaps, but that's not going to help us right now with your situation. So that's why I want to put this back to you, Lori. I don't know if we can help you out right now.
Does it need to be stored inside? Is that the issue?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's, you know, it's a float that's got paint and that kind of stuff, right? So it needs to be protected.
I'm just wondering if you could tarp it and put it out at what we call the county building out on Edward.
Yeah. We haven't even had that discussion, but I think the interesting part is that the Kinsman Club have a really nice float, and I advised them that, you know, based on their decision, that Creemore may be looking for a float for the Santa Claus Parade, so they may want to participate in the Creemore Santa Claus Parade. So I'm sorry, I just don't have an answer for you in regards to whether or not we can look after you know, this wagon right now. That's what the problem is.
You're right. The ideal thing is to just have one and use it for both parades, right? Like
that was where I was going with it. Yeah, and that's why I approached the Kinsmen, because they do such a good job of the when they have, and I thought we could approach them together and we could work together.
So the question is, would they look at just doing both parades like a lot of other people do?
Sure, I bet you they would. It's a matter of, just like any other organization, they have volunteers, so it's about getting the volunteers to help them out, and maybe this group making the ask to them to do that.
I'd like to ask Sarah to weigh in. Yeah.
So I love the idea of having the Kinsmen take it on, and I will pass that on to Natalie. Do you have a recommendation for a contact, Doug?
Bill Roskar is the chap who I've been dealing with. He is a past president, but let's just consider him one of the movers and shakers of the Kinsman Club. The president right now is Brandon Ward, so he's the president. So you could probably reach out to him. I can send you those contact details on a private message, no problem.
I feel badly about Mr. Harper and everything he has, but I just don't think the logistics work for us to maintain it and to set it up, which is really a shame.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there, right? So,
but what can you do?
Yeah. Okay, so the action there, from what I'm hearing, is that Doug is going to send some information, contact details to Sarah, and you're going to pass it on to Natalie.
Yeah, provided Natalie wants to do the parade again, which I don't think she would mind, and hopefully we can have a parade. I mean, this is all, I think with that all goes without saying that maybe that won't happen, but certainly worth the ask, and perhaps it's even something we're able and willing to make a donation to if we had to.
Jackie had mentioned to me last week that she was going to talk to, I was hoping she might be here. She's not here. She was going to talk to somebody she knows that we used to store the bikes up in the barn and see if we could maybe put the float there. But the problem is getting it in and out.
Isn't that Sarah Lee Irwin?
Yes. Who said that?
Okay,
Yes.
I know her. I know her quite well. I could ask her if it's.
The issue is getting the float out of there in the snow, because I drive my truck up there.
Yeah.
Sarah Hershoff did, and we got all the bench stuff out of there.
I think, honestly, the right idea is just to see if the Kinsmen would come into a partnership and have one float. It's just so much easier.
I agree.
Good. All right.
I agree. Okay.
Pass it on.
So we'll pass it on. Should we have any other action items? Because I guess my concern is about Mr. Harper.
So that is a concern for me. I do think he's been waiting a long time for an answer. Are we comfortable telling him that we simply can't take it on?
I think that's the truth.
It is the truth. Okay. So I'll call him.
Is it financial to him? Is that the issue, or just he's got this float and doesn't know what to do with now, or?
I think it's a combination of the two. And I also think it's the acknowledgement of the effort that he's made all these years. So I think that we should maybe, like, the phone call would be great, but maybe we need to do something more, a certificate, something that we can sort of say, like, honor him with it, as well as just say that we're kind of maybe retiring that float, or something like that. But maybe I'll work with Natalie on that and see. She's been talking to him a little bit. He certainly deserves to be honored. He's been an amazing volunteer.
Oh yeah, for sure. I guess it's just, again, trying to figure out if he is out of pocket, or if it's out of pocket and now what does he do with this float, or if there's some assistance we can give him, if he just needs help dismantling it and getting rid of it, like what we might be able to do to ease the load for him.
Yeah, we could certainly have that conversation. He did want to sell the float.
Great.
So, but my guess is it's not because he needs the money,
Right.
but it's, it was just an acknowledgement of the value of it, I guess. Okay, I'll make some phone calls and I'll talk to him. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, and if you have to communicate with us before the next meeting, we can certainly have an email chain or have a discussion about it, because I realize every month we wait, it's just going to be October before it's resolved.
Yeah.
So I do feel badly for Mr. Harper. I know for us it's not a huge priority, but it probably is in his world, so I don't want to make him wait.
It really is. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for taking that action. Okay, where's my agenda? Here we are. Okay. So that's the float there. Oh, we had, I think we have garbage on here every month. I don't think there's much of an update, to be honest, on the garbage. Sarah, you're shaking your head. Did you want to say anything?
We were going to move ahead trying to open up the garbage so that people would have lots of opportunity to get rid of their additional shipping stuff. Obviously, none of us are ordering very much right now, so it hasn't been a big issue. But it is absolutely doable, and it would probably cost another $200 each. In the summer months, it would cost probably $500 every quarter, so that would be $1,000. And then in the winter, we probably wouldn't. We'd be looking at an extra $100 every quarter. So I need to do the math on that, but so there is a bit of a cost associated.
Well, how often does it get picked up this time of year? Because I tried to put the trees in there and there was no room.
When did that happen? I mean, I'm not really monitoring the garbage.
I just remembered it. I must have pulled the trees out, what, 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago? But there was no room in the actual bin, so I piled it literally beside it. Does it come out once? Do they empty it once a month?
Yeah. Currently,
You know-
it's once a month, and then in the summer they up it till once every 2 weeks.
Do you happen to know the beginning of the month? No?
I'd have to look into that. It's been a
Okay,
while.
don't worry about it. I'll just keep checking. Okay. I totally
I
gapped
propose,
it.
Sarah, that we just buy a new lock in Home Hardware. We stick some new keys, and then let's just shelve the proposal, because as we don't have events and restaurants, Nancy, you might have something to say, but restaurants are going to be probably operating at half capacity. I can't imagine that there's going to be as much waste as a regular summer.
No,
So
I'm actually going to
we just
cancel my
shelved
my garbage to once a month.
Yeah. So instead of increasing we're planning, we just leave it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Good.
Yeah, I'll contact them and we'll just see. They'll be able to give me an idea on the weight for every pickup, and they're actually pretty good. They'll make recommendations about where we're at. Okay,
that'd be fine. I just think instead of increasing, it's just no point that.
No.
Anyway.
no,
Okay.
not right now. Not
No.
right now.
No, so might as well save the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to street decor. Nancy's here, so I'm going to give you an update. That's one of the really active areas of the BIA right now is street decor. So take it away.
So as you've noticed, the planters are out. Between a hip injury and now I busted up my ankle, I haven't been able to move the planters around to where they should be, because they're all they're not perfectly planted. But the tulips, there's a 75-year anniversary from Holland. They gifted us tulips to the Horticultural Society. It's more of a horticultural society thing, but they've used our 20 of our planters to actually have these 75-year anniversary, have the flowers bloom, and they're going to come up probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks, which is lovely. Today I just got off the phone with Green Tree, which is our people that plant the planters for the main street for the summer flowers, and Mara Burton from the township has just confirmed that they will be delivering the 40 planters tomorrow, which are self-watering planters. Yay! So no more dead flowers. They're going to be delivered tomorrow afternoon or Thursday morning. And then Green Tree up in Collingwood is going to be planting 40 containers for us. And they will probably be out in, I would say, at the end of June. And they're going to get somehow magically delivered to Creemore. Whether Green Tree is going to do it for us or the township can help us is something we're going to have to talk to Mara about. But yeah, it's rolling along. And yeah, and the bikes, where are the bicycles? It's in a storage container at the township?
Yes, the bicycles.
They're safely stored.
Okay, so
Yep.
I need to get at those eventually in the next month, because there's quite a few people that want to buy them in town.
Right.
So we could probably sell at least, I would say 75% of them, because 75% actually work and the other 25% don't work, but we can at least get some of the money back. Yeah. Questions?
Great job, Nancy.
Right on.
Okay, that's it.
So that's awesome. And the watering has started too. I don't know if you mentioned that. Sorry.
Yeah, the watering for the spring, because we had the tulips and Tammy Penny, who actually did them, was very concerned that they wouldn't get watered and taken care of. So we've hired Colin and Cheryl, who did the watering last year and have done it for several years. They're going to do the spring watering 3 times a week, because it is the old planter, so they'll need more water. They're going to do it 3 times a week for the half of May and June for another $800, which is totally worth it, because we didn't pay for these flowers at all. Yes?
Nancy, can you make sure that they get some kind of a document to me, and then I can pay them? And
Okay.
when they give you the document, can you ensure that it clearly states exactly what they're doing, so that we're
Okay.
all super clear on that? Because I know we've had
Yeah.
that with them in the past.
Yeah, because they've never done spring flowers, so I'll make sure that they have it completely separate. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll pay them separately too. We'll have
Yeah.
them paid out separately. Perfect. Okay.
I talked to Terry briefly when Sarah and I were meeting with Terry and Amanda this week at the township, and I know that a lot of the beautification staff for the township have been laid off, but I do believe that they will be able to help us move the planters if we give him
Good.
tons of notice. Like we need to give
Okay.
him 2 to 3 notice. He said
I
They
think
would do their best
that's
to see what they can
doable.
between us all. We can get these 40 planters up here.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
All right, that's great. That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, who does Nancy talk to about getting the bikes from Stainer, Doug? Do we?
Yeah, you can go through Terry. I mean,
Okay.
Terry would be your contact for sure.
Okay.
Thing.
All right.
Perfect. Okay,
All
great.
right. I'll do that next couple of weeks. I'll get up there and ride them around, see which ones we can actually sell.
Do we want to put an
Yeah.
ad about the bike sale, or is that something
I'm
that
going to
we
see how many
as-
are actually functioning.
Okay.
Because maybe there's only, like 8 that can actually be ridden. So maybe we'll just put the whole thing on the BIA, OBGY, whatever it is, OB, whatever that.
OBIA.
Thank you. Website, and another township can buy them, or we'll just sell. If we can sell a lot of them, then maybe we'll just sell them that way. Because I would like to buy a couple, and I know Darcy wants to buy 3. A couple of other people expressed they wanted to buy 3 or 4. So I think we should be able to get rid of pretty much, I would say 80% of them, 75.
Tires will be flat for sure to start with.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
I would
We've got
suggest you
Tim
the
to pump them
bearings that probably need some grease and oil work. I mean, they've been
Yeah.
sitting in the rain for all this time, right?
Yeah, we'll see. You never know.
In
They'll come-
as is condition, I think.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
And for a WD
That's
from Home Hardware. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. That's great news. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Nancy. Events. So everything's canceled. Okay.
See y'all in 2021.
Basically. I actually had a call today from a very concerned and lovely customer who had some ideas for the BIA. Lots of people have ideas for the BIA, which is great. And she had said, she's been thinking about it a lot about the summer. And I thought I'd pitch this idea to you guys because I thought it was worth discussing. In terms of events this summer, no events, right? So everything's really off the table. But we still have people coming to town, and we still have restaurants, even if it's at half capacity, and our stores will eventually open. And somebody said, what if we put, and I don't know how logistically this will work yet, but what if we put extra picnic tables around the town for people who want to take out food and eat, but can't go into a restaurant because they, are, limiting the amount of people they have inside the restaurant? Or what if they want to just, buy something, say from Nancy, and just eat somewhere, but you only have limited tables? Or maybe they're waiting to go into one of the stores and there's limited people. What if we had picnic tables or something down the street where people could socially distance? Maybe their family could sit at a table and enjoy some food or some coffee or something. We won't have the Village Green up and going this summer. So I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll throw it out to the team and see what you guys think.
Is there spots for picnic tables to go?
No idea. Doug?
Doug?
The
No,
idea
I
is
like the
great.
idea.
Oops.
No, the only thing is that would the province get upset with that? If I like the idea, but would the province get upset because you're not able to disinfect the tables between people, between servings? That's the only.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think it's a great idea. If the province doesn't have an issue with it, then what?
Okay. And I
I
think
mean, like right now, that's the reason why playgrounds are closed off, is because that's the reason why the playgrounds is closed off, because the kids, they can't disinfect the ground equipment. I mean, you
Right.
can go into a playground, but you just can't play on the equipment because they can't that's the only.
Yeah, like the sentiment is definitely right, but to me, my initial thought was kind of fraught with issues. Where do we put them? How do we get them out? How do we get them in? Then you're closing off traffic. But I wonder if instead of tables, is it even just benches along the street, and maybe you can get away with not having to, quote unquote, wipe them down because they're seating benches, not eating tables. But it's the idea that there's some place to park yourself if you grab some takeout food.
Yeah, if it's a bench.
Yeah, I mean, we do have some benches right now. So is that the sort of thing you're thinking? Maybe just benches?
Yeah, or maybe there might even be simpler benches that you can just scatter around that are not as, because we do have benches, but if you wanted more benches, I guess, again, like the idea is right, but it just feels a little,
The bench would be a little bit more sleek and tidy.
yeah. And wouldn't have to go out on the middle of the road, wouldn't block the sidewalk. The other thing is there's things like at the brewery, right, Heather, where people can be encouraged to actually bring their food and eat it out on the patio.
Yeah, I'm right now limited to one table on the patio because of spacing. So yes, that is one, but there's not very much space. There are benches down at the brewery end too. We've got some under our brewery windows and such. And we welcome customers to come down to this end.
The more interesting thing is, how do you actually get the park? Like just the idea of people doing a picnic on the grass or going and eating down at the park, right? If they're really needing some space or want to grab lunch and they can't eat inside, how do you promote sort of a good
Park.
Yeah, picnic at the park without a table? Because now, you know, we don't have to worry about it.
Doug McKechnie, did you have a comment?
I was just going to say, maybe I shouldn't be suggesting this when we're being recorded, but what about if we just put picnic tables out and leave it up to the province to say, no, you can't do that, you know, but if we just go ahead and do it, you know, just a thought.
I don't know.
Yeah. So beg
I
for
do not want to be
forgiveness.
those people.
Hold on a second. It's really hard because everyone can't see each other, but Sarah had her hand up, so I'm going to pass it over to you.
I do know that we have some of those benches that some of us really grew to hate last year during Creemore nights. We could probably see if I know some of them belong to Jackie, some of them belong to the BIA. We could probably very quickly get 10 rustic benches and we could put it out there to individual business owners if they wanted to put them in front of their things. So the onus would be a little bit on the business owners to volunteer and want to place it, and we could provide it if we wanted to. It would be very quick and cheap and easy, because if we were to buy new benches, which I do think we need to do at some point, but they're quite expensive at about $1,000 a pop for the really good ones. So I can the benches, oh my god, the saga.
No, well, you know what the other option is? I heard that the farmers market is not
The benches in the farmers market, right?
no, but just the farmers market will not be at Station on the Green, right? Because of whatever the rules are or whatever's going on. But what if you just had picnic tables set up at Station on the Green? Like in the
Yes, no one's going to go to the Station on the Green and sit in picnic tables. But you know what? Is the Station on the Green going to actually be under construction?
It'll be a construction zone, so they.
Okay, so what about the benches that are sitting along the actual path? Can we not take some of those and put them on Main Street?
Yeah, we could do that.
They've got to do something with them. We might as well make them to good use.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because they got to go somewhere, so we might as well use them. So if they're on Main Street, because if you noticed on the weekends, that everybody's coming, so they've got to have somewhere to go and congregate instead of standing in front of our stores. And so if we have benches,
yeah.
Can I jump in?
Sorry, yeah, Doug, go ahead.
Hi, sorry. I think that's a great idea to ask Terry Vachon in regards to what's the positioning on the benches that are in the Village Green right now. So if you want to contact Terry and ask him and see if he can have them redeployed, that would probably be a good thing. I'd just like to throw something out there for everybody to keep in mind, that there are communities in Ontario that have actually removed the benches from their downtown core because of gatherings. And I don't mind telling you, I took a complaint about the cyclists coming into town a couple weekends ago, and there's nowhere for them to go other than at that time Affairs was serving coffee. And so there was this huge gathering of cyclists sitting on benches, and drinking water, etc. And I mean,
That's
while
exactly what
love
we're trying to discourage.
precisely, and that's why I wanted just to bring this to your attention. Okay. Further, Councillor McKechnie and myself, any member of council, we have no authority to defend you if the OPP or the bylaw department who work for us decide to lay a charge. Like, that's up to them. It's not up to us. So
No.
just giving you some heads up, okay?
But as a business owner, we can't have the benches outside and have people gathering outside, correct? Because I personally don't want one anywhere near my cafe. Because then I know what people do. They'll come and they'll get a coffee and then they'll sit outside. Then it just, people start gathering and they start, and because that's what we do. We're humans.
At the
I don't
brewery, they
want-
start cracking the cans outside.
Yeah, don't want it. Mm-mm.
I mean, this is what Sarah and I have been struggling with this week. When we met with Amanda and Terry, it's a really fine line on the experience. We don't want people to have a really bad experience.
No.
These people to come, these are our visitors, but at the same time, we want to accommodate them the best we can. Sorry, my internet's going on and off.
It's a very difficult thing, Lori. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this actually kind of dovetails into the next discussion, which I'm asking as well, Sarah, if you want to jump in at any moment. We put together, Sarah and I put together just a little document on behalf of the BIA members from some of the feedback we had received from members that we've even talked to, or people that have posted comments on our Facebook page, or that have called us or emailed us. Lots of us are talking to the various different people, business people, I mean, in town. And we put a document together about what people's concerns are regarding the reopening and the recovery plans, and how we want to work together to make sure that it's streamlined and that it's clear and that everybody feels very comfortable and safe when we do reopen. And what we found, the major concern was people are very concerned about health and safety. And I think I forwarded on to a couple of folks. I'm sorry I didn't forward it on to all of you, but I will after the meeting. It's just been a kind of a crazy week. But what we did is we spoke to Terry and Amanda about what we need from Township. And I think Sarah and I were both on the same page there with saying, we're looking for Township to provide us with some guidance. We don't feel that we are the people that want to be the police of telling you, how many people you can limit in our stores or what you can and can't do. So we're just looking for some guidance from Township so that we have some guidelines in terms of the reopening and what it looks like, and being able to communicate to people that the shopping and dining experience is not going to be the same as it used to be. So we used to have a, shopping, and we encourage lots of people and full restaurants, and, no longer are we going to be able to, enjoy that for probably the next few months. So just really educating people to be considerate shoppers, considerate diners, and just also helping us with that sort of communication. So that is what we put together. We had a great meeting between the Chamber of Commerce from Stainer, Sarah, myself, Amanda, and Terry. We felt very heard. We felt that they really took some great notes, and we really felt that they are turning it around. And now Amanda has put out a document, I think yesterday, that explained all the measures that they want to go through in terms of putting up signage. And there was a discussion about whether we should maybe block some of the spots on the roads for curbside pickup and do signs and things like that. Sarah, what else?
That's a good idea.
I haven't got it in front of me.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, because what I'm finding too is right in front of all of our stores, 100 Mile, myself, the Water First, there's residents that are living above and they're just parked completely. So I've got people that are compromised that are coming in and they're trying to get into the cafe. I'm trying to get out. They can't wave me down because I've got people that are living above that are parked there. And
I hear your pain. So I think a lot of people are in the same boat. And one of the things was A-frame signs. They're very limited of what A-frame signs we could put there that say, take out,
curbside
pickup or whatever it is. Amanda had proposed some text. And Sarah, what else was in that document that Amanda had put together for us?
There were some resources for us. There was a poster. She talked about perhaps helping us access PPE. It was helpful. It was really, really helpful. She kind of did the work so that all of us can click on some links and we don't have to go digging too deeply. I apologize. My internet is unstable. Everybody is on the internet, and none of us.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Did Amanda mention road decals or sidewalk decals that we could
Yeah.
have all matchy for the town, or?
So she's also put a plan together where she's working with artisan, not landscapes, streetscapes, to some sort of banners together with grommets. I'm going to talk to her about some of these things because they're quite expensive. I think she's asking the businesses to pay for them right now. So wanted to get you guys to weigh in on that. And also, she has proposed either, I think, some sort of arrows in terms of distancing, for people on the street that they can just stick onto the sidewalks, I think. I haven't spoken to her directly about this. I'm just taking it from her Word document.
I know what those are. I know those. I've seen them. I've seen them at different festivals and events for wayfinding things. I'm looking into them for outside of the brewery, for spacing, so it looks a little bit nicer than what's available from Staples.
Masking tape.
Yeah, they could be branded.
How do you honestly, I have been so social distancing. I've not been on the main street. I go to the grocery store once every 2 weeks and that's it, right? When, you need space for curbside pickup, but when the car is parked for curbside pickup, where are the other cars going? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's
Karen,
just
I gotta be honest, it's a problem. If between
It's
the
a rat
100 Mile
race,
and
right?
myself, we
It
have
just-
people that are parked permanently that do not leave for 3 or 4 days, parked right in front of our stores, right, like there's like 5 of them. And we've asked them a million times to please not park there. And it's crazy. People just keep
Well, and
parking
it's
there.
different for us because we don't have the residents, but so what we see is the cars line up and then people take their turn getting out of their car.
Right.
So I had to put the markers out, like at the grocery store or whatever. It's been sort of managed on their own from like common sense.
So even if there's 3 cars in a row outside of the bank cafe, there's a marker that at least if I get out of the car, I know I just hang out basically.
There's no marker. I can't put markers. There's no marker.
There might be a marker. Again, I'm just trying to think through the process of what's actually happening, right? Because you can go to all this trouble to get this stuff out there, but if again, people are just, there's, to your point, there's nowhere to park or
Yeah, they don't, yeah.
And are people coming to town and like window shopping, or are they like literally
They're loitering for sure.
Oh yeah, they're loitering.
Right.
Yeah. It depends on the day. I mean, Thursdays and Fridays I'm finding at the cafe, and I could be totally wrong with the other ones, but Thursdays and Fridays, it's all the loyal customers that are coming in and they're buying 4 or 5 soups, a carrot cake, a loaf of banana bread, grabbing a coffee to go, saying hello, we love you, and then they go. Saturday by noon, I've got a million day trippers coming up, and that's where I'm like, it's got to stop.
Creemore's perfect
just
for a drive
loitering.
when you're bored, right?
Yeah, you go up to Creemore. It's like,
And then
which
they
is
get
great
out and
because
they
we
walk
worked so
and-
hard to get them here. Now I'm like, oh my God, don't come in.
Lori and I were joking. Who knew that a pandemic was what we needed to get everybody here? We've been trying for so long.
I know.
And they're coming
So
in
it's difficult because, and it's funny that I find the people that at 12 o'clock onwards on a Saturday, the ones that are breaking all the rules and they just don't get it. They're loitering because we've lulled them into this beautiful sleep that we're safe up here, which is wonderful. And that's what we wanted, this small town. You're safe, but at the same time, it's like, you can't hang around the cafe. Like they're coming in groups of 4. It's like, I'm at my capacity at 2.
I've got like 7 or 8 motorcycles out front of me, and I'm like, "Hi, boys, and your big beards,
Guys,
out of here!"
yeah, like, and they don't get it. It's like, it's me that's gonna get charged, not just them. I'm gonna get in trouble too. It's like, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
to go back to what Karen was sort of asking, what the issues are. You get kind of a smattering of ideas. We all are struggling with this. There's tons of people on the streets on the weekend, and so the idea behind blocking off certain spots in front of certain stores, and every store owner would be responsible for blocking off a spot or 2 spots or whatever you have in front of your store, is so to encourage people to continue the curbside, because even though we're going to open probably soon, we won't be able to have a lot of people in our stores. We won't be able to have a lot of people in our restaurants. We're still going to need to do curbside. I think most of us, right, Heather, you're still going to do curbside, we're still going to do curbside. So
Yeah.
we still want people who feel vulnerable or feel uncomfortable coming into our stores. We still want them to feel that they can still drive up and pick something up outside the store. We're sort of open in this sort of new sense. So that was the thinking behind that too, was not just to encourage people, day trippers, to come up, park for the day in front of my store, which they are doing, but to actually, put that out there. So it's a very clear thing that you're in town, you're here to pick something up and shop locally or dine locally at a takeout, and then you're off. You're not just.
Let's just get Tim Armour to walk up and down the street to move people along in a friendly way.
Well, I think that's the only thing you can really do, right? Is it's about communication and signage, and how you coordinate that messaging up and down the street and on the fronts of the buildings to encourage people to do that. So you don't want to tell them to go park somewhere and walk around. Basically, you want to say, we're open for business, but we're really only open for curbside pickup. And if that's really what we're trying to do, then what's the mechanism on the street that we can do? And maybe that's actually what it is, where we're not ticketing because we can't ticket, but how do you make sure when people are stopped in parking, they either get some sort of communication or they understand or see that there's an authority making sure that traffic or cars keep moving, right? Because that's what you have to invest in is
but who's going to go out there and spend the time on the street getting cars to keep moving?
I guess if you really have to do it, then you're going to hire a security person or a couple of security people to, again, in a pleasant, nice way, but who can deal with uppity people or whatever. But I'm just being honest, like that's
no, it's not. You know what? I'm not finding the uppity people. I'm finding the people that are living above the street, the shops. They're just not moving.
Yeah, so that's a separate issue, and that becomes, I don't know what our parking not policy but mandate is, but do we only have 2-hour parking on the main street, and then that gets rid of people who park over 8 hours on the main street? Then you like that's
right now it's not a bylaw.
That's what I'm getting at, right? So
it's not. You've already looked into it.
And if there was ever a time for an emergency bylaw, it would be about not having standing traffic on the main street, right? So so you have to separate those two issues though, because we'll keep going around and round. So there's one issue where we've got just people who live in the buildings parked on the street that really hamper us day in and day out all the time. What are you going to do? How are we going to deal with that in the big picture? And then we've got this idea that there's lots of people coming up because they think it's safe. We need to communicate that we love that they've taken a moment out of their time to come up and see us, but we really hope they only stay for a moment, grab their takeout.
Well, they're in town. They come into the cafe. They come into Norma's, I'm assuming. They can't get into any of the stores, but they're still loitering, which is great. And we wanted that. They're still hanging around.
Yeah, some good communication, right? And if we need, if people, I'm just an idea, if you need to hire people who are honestly approaching them at 6 feet away to say, hey, folks.
But I think if we did that, Karen, that would really send out the wrong message, because in 4 weeks' time or in 5 weeks' time, we want those people back. So if we get to be known as the company, the little community that says, you have to stay away, because there's already a huge undercurrent of the city it's coming up and spending too much time. I don't want to be the business that does that. I don't think it's healthy.
Everything you're doing is saying that, putting lines on the road, blocking parking.
We're not putting lines in the road.
Hold on a sec. I'm gonna just back up a bit, because you may not have the benefit of what Amanda and Terry are working on, but they are doing some radio campaigns that are going to help. They're doing some social media. They're preparing posters that every business can put in their window, and core plus signs. I'm not quite sure where those are going, and some road signs, I believe, as well. There's 4 planned. And so they are working, because what we as a BIA reached out to the township for was, we said, we need help with communication, and we need consistent communication, and we need people about what the experience is going to be like, and set an expectation so that when they get here, they feel comfortable that they know what's what, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So The radio ads, I think, are starting fairly soon. And Sarah had a great idea about radio ads, in that we started our first ads that go out from Clearview Township. It was Sarah's idea to really thank people for shopping local, thank people for supporting local businesses during this crisis. And then our second campaign with the radio ads is really to go out and say, you know what, we're really happy to have you here, but let's be considerate, and let's, continue to social distance and be patient if you have to stand in line to get into a store or a restaurant. Just be mindful and patient, basically. And that's what we're sort of asking customers to be. So that's part of what Amanda's really turned around in about 4 days to help us do. And I think, Karen, you'll see some of that also will carry those messages through in our social media programs. Right. And that's where the consistent communication, that's why we wanted Clearview to really take the lead on that. So we all across Clearview had a very consistent communication. So we set an expectation with our visitors. That's where I stand.
So then what, again, so where I'm lost is then so you've got a plan.
Yes, that's what I'm explaining.
Right.
This is what Sarah and I made a proposal, and the township really took on board, I think, and then they are working. I mean, it's just a draft, but they're working towards that.
Okay.
Oh,
so
sorry, Amanda really, really did a great job. She took our feedback and basically kind of ripped up where they had started and started all over again. She really listened to us, and I think they're the best people to implement. We need to worry about our own operations, and having Clearview staff doing the implementation on a bigger, broader campaign, I think it takes the onus off each of us as individual business owners. It really, when a body of government is providing these documents and stuff, I just think it's a lot more comfortable for all of us to be taking these kind of rules and regulations from a government body and being able to share those with our customers and feel very safe about it. So hats off to Amanda and Terry. They really did a great job on that. I mean, I don't think it's perfect. Nothing is right now, but it was quick, and I think we'll see stuff pretty soon. So yeah, really, they did a really great job.
Yeah. The only question I might have for the BIA people was just about the curbside shopping lanes and whether we want to take out the parking areas, maybe just, and this is where we might need the township's help, whether we just take that one lane where cars are parked now and make that curbside pickup only, like limited to, like Karen said, like 2 hour or 1 hour or something like that. So that was a question that I wasn't really sure about, but they're still going to move ahead with the A-frame signs.
Is that possible?
I don't know, Doug, is that possible?
Counselor, what do you think? Think it's possible?
Anything's possible.
For sure. I think that we can discuss that.
I don't know. Is that something that we have to take to council to pass a bylaw on that or anything? Or
well, we would have to give direction to staff if there's two things at play here. Terry, Amanda, marketing, promotion, but then also Public Works, Dan Perot, and road maintenance. So, and then the third thing actually would be bylaw. So right. We need to propose this to the staff, just make sure that they understand that we want to create a cooperative effort. I appreciate what Nancy's been saying about parking out front of her store, particularly those that are in the food takeout business. I can totally see the problem. And yet it also is a problem for people that have their residences on the main street. And
a lot of those residences on the main street, they have parking on the side streets, and that's where the concern is. Like, okay, can you just go around the corner? And not to mention, we've also had a lot of our parking spots taken away for safety. So it's really like, I'm looking at the 100 Mile store, and it's like and the Cardboard Castles, they have one spot, that's it. And then we've got Water First, and it continues on. So there's like no parking that's safe if we've got 2 or 3 people that are residents upstairs, and they can literally park behind the building or on the side street. So it's kind of,
is Water First still parking on the street?
Pardon me?
Water First, are they parking on the street?
I'm not sure. I don't think Water First in the last month because they haven't been there, but the residents, I know for sure, I count 5 cars every single day, same cars parked there for 2-3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And we've asked them not to, and
And we don't have this problem in the winter because we have a winter parking bylaw,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
And we don't have this
so-
problem when people are going to work because
Nope.
Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
and actually one of the residents that live upstairs to one of the places actually called and said, this person is parked every single day there. It's been 3 days. It's like, this is getting ridiculous. And so, and the bylaw officer up at the township said, there's nothing I can really do because of the COVID. People are staying home. She's like, yeah, but the stores, people can't get into the stores. They're doing curbside pickup. They're doing deliveries. And the delivery truck has to park in the middle of the road because this damn van is standing right in front of the store. And it's been there for 3 days, but there's
Well,
no
to be
bylaw.
fair, parking right in the middle of the street to do an unloading in Creemore is not an uncommon thing.
But it
Certainly, we've
shouldn't
seen
happen,
that.
though.
I know we shouldn't have. It
No.
should not happen, but it's not
No.
uncommon. So
I mean, it doesn't
I
happen.
totally understand.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, look at. I'll take some notes, and perhaps Councilor McKechnie and I can talk about this on a
That'd
phone
be
call
great.
later. But it is something that we do need to address. To be fair, I have heard it from one other person in Stainer as well. So there are some similarities in this problem. So
Good.
Yes, it would be nice to actually, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Karen.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it'd just be nice to actually get it into the minutes that outside of COVID, we're gonna look at a proper
Restricted
time
parking.
zone for
Yeah.
parking on the main street.
Yeah.
That
that'd be
would
great.
solve it all, right? And
1 hour parking or something. That'd be great.
20
Thanks,
years
Karen.
and we're 20 years later and we're still talking about this, right?
Yeah.
So
So maybe a 1 hour parking limit
a
would be
2 hour
amazing.
parking, 2 hour
Yeah.
parking zone so people can park and go for dinner still, right? And you know, you're good. And then the next one is what is, if you're going to restrict the main street to curbside parking during COVID, what is that? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and how you communicate it.
Yeah.
And maybe for COVID, especially the way you get around it with the tenants is it's from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. There's a restricted parking.
But there's
time.
no there's no enforcing it now, though. That's the problem. But anyways, we'll look into it. That'd be great.
So if I could jump in here before you go on to the next item there, Lori. So I just wanted to mention that the meeting that Lori and Sarah had with Terry and Amanda, and I assume someone was there from the Stainer Chamber of Commerce as well. But Councillor Patterson and myself, we had requested to be involved in that meeting. And Terry suggested that we not be, because sometimes, and I agree with Terry, sometimes too many cooks spoil the broth. I'm not a cook, but that's what I understand. Anyway, so basically, I think he wanted to keep the meeting sort of small and focused, and he didn't want extra people in there to take it off the rails or anything, and that's fine. I trust Terry and such. I was encouraged that the feedback I got from Terry and Amanda that was very positive. Seems that the feedback I'm getting from you, Lori, is positive. You sent me that email the other day. So I just want to let you know that, it wasn't for lack of interest of myself or Tom, weren't there. We were interested. It was just that Terry had said, look, I'd like to meet with the BIA just on its own. The other thing too the question I have is I'm getting the idea that you're getting lots of support and guidance from Terry and Amanda, and I don't really want to get in between, because if you're getting the support and the guidance that you require, then that's great. But as the mayor mentioned, I mean, I'm happy, and I'm sure Doug's happy to get involved where we need to get involved. But I think, from my personal opinion, I would appreciate it if you need us to do something, just put it in an email. For instance, the parking. Tell us what you want. Exactly what you want, and then we can take it to council or to bylaw or whatever, to staff. But we can't sort of be going and taking something and then all of a sudden somebody saying, well, no, we would really rather have it a different way. Like, we need something concrete to take to them. So before we get involved. But, I wouldn't, I'm encouraged that you're dealing well with Amanda and Terry. So, and Mara Burton too. So if you can sort of keep on with that, that's fine. But when that starts to bog down, yeah, I'm more than happy to get involved, but I just sort of need it in writing. I need something concrete that I can go forward with. That's all. So anyway, there you go.
Lori, Doug, sort of to your point, when Lori and I were talking to Amanda and Terry, they were very clear in saying that if we have issues that we needed some advocacy for at other levels of government, that our best bet is to contact either of the Dougs or Tom as our counselor. So they certainly kind of said the same thing, that there's places where they can help, and then with the advocacy with other bodies of government, you're our best bet. So they did a good job.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly right. You know, there's places that I can get involved, but you know, a lot of these things that you're dealing with, if you're able to get good results by dealing directly with Terry, Amanda, Mayor, and everything, that's great. That's the way to do it. But if you need us to get involved with the rest of council, to bring something to the rest of council, then yeah, I'm your man. And certainly, if you're not having, if you really want something and you don't think that you're getting anywhere with staff, you know, like fine, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Can't guarantee anything, but anyway, I guess that's a long way of saying I don't want to be sort of jumping in and getting my nose into a place where it really doesn't belong, unless I really sort of have to. That's all. So, because I've learned from experience that can sort of backfire. Okay, so. Anyway.
Thank you, Doug. That's really kind. We know we have your support, and I do appreciate you following up with these things. So that's fantastic. I guess just before we finish off with the recovery and the reopening plans, I guess part of me would like to ask Doug Measures as well, just in terms of, from a leadership perspective from Clearview Township, what guidelines or what things are you thinking about for the reopening? Have you guys sat down and said, you know what, we're gonna, just as an example, we're gonna ask everybody to wear a mask before they enter a business, or we're gonna limit the amount of people based on the square footage of your business, or whatever it is? Have you sat down and been able, because I know like the mayor of Toronto came out with certain guidelines for Toronto, you know, you have to wear a mask on public transit and things like that. Where are you guys in that process?
So I'll just give you a couple of things. We are focusing on the areas of responsibility that we have and we can impact. And one of them, of course, is our customer service counter at our administration center. We have to think about how we're going to reopen the admin center to continue to provide the business of the corporation of Clearview. And so they're investigating the plastic shield type system where there might be a spot to slide paperwork back and forth underneath on the main counter. I mean, those are the things that we're looking at right now. We're also looking at how we're going to stage our staff in the building, you know, to keep them separated. And so those are the things we're looking at as far as opening. But for your question, and it's difficult because we have, as a municipality, have no control over what direction or orders are given from the province about your opening. So I can't tell you, you know, that we're going to give you a direction saying wear masks when shopping in your store or one person at a time, because that will not come from the municipality of Clearview. That will come from the province. The province will set those requirements. All we can do is deal with the public spaces that we are truly responsible for. So in effect, everything on the street and our discussion a few minutes ago about benches, that is something that we have an impact on. But we, and the parking spots and the drive up, you know, curbside services, we can have some impact on that. But what you do in each of your stores, that's not up to us. So I can't help you with that, Lori, and I wish I could.
No,
it's, as a civics lesson, though, just to keep in mind that Mayor John Tory is one of 455 heads of council, 445 heads of council in Ontario. 444 of those municipalities fall underneath the Municipal Act. Mr. Tory's municipality is the City of Toronto, and it falls underneath the City of Toronto Act. And it gives extraordinary powers that are more than what the mayors of other municipalities have.
Okay.
For instance, the mayor's office can write bylaws and have them enacted by the mayor's signature without meeting with council. That's what happens in the city of Toronto. And so he can create a bylaw and says, if you're going to ride transit, you have to wear a mask. Sign. Done.
Okay. We don't do that in our
I do not have that authority to do that here. I do not have those extraordinary authorities because we work underneath the Municipal Act. So we take direction from the province through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, the Cabinet, the Premier's office, and the legislator. So.
Okay. Well, that.
Right.
No, that clears it up, because when I saw John Tory saying all these things, I thought, now what are we going to say? So that's where I was confused. So thank you. That does actually explain a lot.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's just that the city of Toronto was such a large bureaucratic animal that the province many years ago changed the way the city of Toronto operates and set it aside as the City of Toronto Act. So for instance, like the mayor of Mississauga has similar authorities to what I do, but the mayor of Mississauga does not have the same authorities that the mayor of Toronto has. So, okay.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Okay, so that now we know exactly where that's coming from. Does anyone else have any concerns or questions about the COVID recovery reopening issues that at the moment Sarah and I have kind of taken on with the township? Does anyone else have any concerns? Or if you do, you can always put them in an email to us. Not at the moment. Okay, so if that's okay, I'm gonna close the sort of discussion about the COVID recovery and reopening plans, but I'm happy to have any sort of phone calls or emails or anything discussion, because this will sort of be a flexible, ongoing kind of discussion as we go forward in the next 2 weeks. In terms, well, there's nobody here for public participation, so can I skip over that section, Kayla? Yeah. Financial report. So I'd like to spend a couple of minutes, if you don't mind. I sent everybody the budget just before our meeting tonight. I don't know if I can share it on the screen, but does everyone have a copy of the budget in front of them or on their screens?
You should be able to share your screen at the bottom of your screen. It should say share screen if you wanted to. And then we'll go on the side and your piece will come up.
Okay, you go, Heater.
I know, eh? Holy cow.
Every Friday night at 9 o'clock for about 5 hours.
That's impressive.
With friends.
Okay.
Sharing spreadsheets.
Sharing spreadsheets.
So, does everyone see this spreadsheet?
Yes, we do.
Oh, hey, thanks, Heather. That worked. Okay.
Look at me, tech savvy.
You're amazing. Okay, now I'm out of gallery view though. Do I have to go back?
That's okay. This happens when you share the screen.
Okay, I'll just move you guys off a bit. Okay, so here we have the budget. Here it is. There we go. From
Oh no, this is Village Green, I think.
oh, never mind. I've got the wrong one here. Hold on. Sorry. Thank you. Oh, that's the Village Green. I should have been a bit more prepared. Okay, talk amongst yourselves just for a second.
I see, Kayla, you put another log on the fire there. Is it nice and warm there now?
Yeah, in a couple of minutes, the warmth will come back. It's like,
Remember how it's May and you're stoking the fire?
I know.
Yeah, think about that.
When I looked out and I saw all the snow, and I thought this would be great if I could snowmobile, but I can't, so it's just a waste.
There's nothing good about this weather right now.
I'm not a shoulder season fan to begin with anyways.
I think I got it.
Sarah, did you have a financial report to present? I imagine no, but just to cover it and okay.
We haven't really done anything. The only payments that have been made since our last meeting are payouts to Steve Davenport. Just garbage, just the garbage payouts, nothing else. I haven't received any expenses for Easter, although I'm trying to follow up with Darcy to see if she incurred any. I mean, we canceled, but she still shouldn't be left with those expenses. So, but there hasn't been any spending really since our last meeting.
Okay.
And certainly nothing off budget.
Oh, sorry. Can we get a final 2019? Because this is still just what the actuals were in November when we put the budget together?
The finals come from the municipalities, so I would prefer to use their finals than mine, and I can check in with Emmy to see where we're at on that.
And Sarah, I've got some time, so I'm absolutely happy. Even if you send me over the rough GLs, I'll bucket them and get them sorted so they line up. If you want.
There's no need to. Once I get the ledger from the municipality, I can definitely send that over. But there's no sense in replicating the work. They do it in QuickBooks at their end. So as soon as I have that, she will send it to me.
Okay.
And I'll pass it on to you if you'd like to do the entry onto our document.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so here's where we left off at the AGM, and I think we had a discussion about some of the budget items back in March. But here we are, since our March meeting, which we haven't had an official meeting, some of our events have been canceled. So what I was thinking is some of those monies that we had sort of sitting beside events, obviously that money's got to go kind of back into the general sort of pot of money. And I don't know if maybe we want to beef up certain budgets, maybe for marketing, maybe for website, things like that, because those are the things we can do during this time. And so that's what I thought we could just have a little look at tonight. And then the other thing is that we haven't actually taken the budget to council yet for their approval. So I don't know if it's just our procrastination or my procrastination. Maybe it's a blessing because now we would have had to go back and change everything anyway. So, so if you don't mind sort of going through this with me, we're really looking at operating expenses here for this first column here. So Vintage Festival obviously is no longer. So that's a $1,500 that we're basically all that money in the events. Where are we? I think maybe we'll leave the Santa Claus parade in for now, and we'll leave the Christmas shopping event. What do you guys think? I mean, who knows where we're going to be at?
I would just for now, just leave those in, but take out, and maybe this is all you're going to do today is get a cleaning of it. Like, where do you think you're going to end up?
Yeah.
Based on what we know today. And then see what kind of cash that opens up to you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's approximately $5,000 we're going to take out of the.
Was there any revenue associated with that also that we are not going to get now though? Oops, sorry, I can't go up. So were we expecting to get some sponsorship for Creemore Nights?
Yes, we were.
And the Vintage Fest. So we need to take that.
After our initial conversations with sponsors. I think they just know that it's not going on.
Right, so we need to take the revenue out also, is what I'm getting at.
Okay, yes, we do, yes. So the revenue for Vintage Fest, the revenue for Creemore Nights, the sale of bikes revenue we'll still leave in there because I think Nancy said there's a possibility of sales. So we will lose some potential revenue, and we will also need to take out the expenses for the events.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take all that out of the event budget here. And then street decor, I don't know if Nancy left us. At one point I sort of saw her drop off. Is she still there? I think we're still, she's not there. I think we're still pretty much on track for streetscape because the town's help with the purchase of the planters. I think we're in quite good shape there. So I don't see any reason why we won't spend on streetscape this year, other than maybe a little bit of jigging around with the garbage, depending on what Sarah works out with them. Other than that, I think we're going forward with all of our plans for flowers. So I think it should be on track. Again, communications, I don't think there's anything really there that's going to affect us in the short term. The marketing section, though, we may want to have a closer look at and decide, do we want to move some of that money around in our budget planning? Now that we have extra money, do we save it? Do we put some of it into marketing? We've got pretty hefty marketing budget. Now, a lot of that marketing budget was based on events. Let's not forget that. Like we had separated the marketing budget from the event budget. So the event budget was just operational costs for the event to run. And then a lot of the marketing budget was to market events like Creemore Nights, Vintage Fest, things like that. So what here, I'm looking for some of your thoughts from you guys about where we do with the marketing budget, what we do with the extra funding that maybe the $5,000 now that is in addition because we have canceled events, where we put that.
So Lori,
Yes, Karen.
for me, it's about, again, and just listening to the conversation that just happened again, people are wanting people in town, but don't want people in town. Like we're in a bit of an odd situation. So, until you to start saying, well, we should, do better billboards, or we should, spend it here or there. I think it really comes down to understanding what are we trying to drive in the village in this new world of social isolation or whatever. And so it dawned on me is the opportunity to maybe take some of the money to continue to help some of the businesses that aren't as set up for digital or online shopping in case something like this continues, right? So you could take some money, you could tell people to come to Creemore, but there's nowhere to park and you're not delivering on an experience. And yes, we want people buying from us, but the way we're used to them buying from us is difficult and hard now. And if we drive too many people to town, it just causes issues. Versus possibly helping some of the businesses. And again, I'm not sure who needs the support or not, but how do you help the businesses prosper in a different way, especially if this is the new normal?
So good thoughts on that. Part of that, our Digital Service Squad grant that we had $5,000 with is still in effect until May 21st. So we still have Ben's help where you can schedule a half-hour, 1-hour meeting if you want to set up a website. Or set up any sort of online digital promotions. So we still have that going on. And I think that really covers a lot of it. I know in my discussions with Mayor Measures before that we can't actually give a business money. That's so,
but even just what you just said makes sense is how do you actually advertise, or if you're going to do social promotion, it's not about driving people to the village, but it's promoting our businesses online.
Okay, so you mean like through social media?
Yeah, or whatever the advertising might be. But again, just what I just heard, I think, was we want to be busy, but it's hard to be busy, and we don't want lots of people, but we need lots of people, and it's a very odd situation. But the idea of how do you promote online shopping from Creemore, and what could that be that could deliver on an interesting experience and still help people sell stuff?
Okay. Yeah. So to me, that sounds like doing like campaigns around shopping locally and in the COVID world, basically.
Yeah.
So that is certainly a campaign that we could run, and we could put some money behind some advertising on that about how to buy online, how to purchase takeout, how to support our businesses from home kind of thing. So certainly we could put some money together towards a campaign. That might already be.
And I don't know if that's right, or like maybe I'm wrong, but because you guys are the ones with the businesses on the main street, what's your objective? Are you still trying to drive people to town? That's the question.
I'm not.
I'm sorry. I left the conversation a little bit ago. What are we talking about now?
Well, we're just talking about the budget, and we just want to take the money out of events from the budget from the year, and where do we put that money back in? And I'm just saying, do we want to beef up certain areas of the marketing budget here? Like, do we want to move some money from social media into website development? Do we hire maybe a photographer to do some better photographs for our social media? Is this the time to do that sort of thing? And then Karen was asking what's really our objective here. I don't think we really want to say for people to come to town. I think two things. We want people to support our online businesses and shop local where possible, and also to start to educate people on what the new shopping experience is going to look like. So those are the two types of campaigns I think we need to run. But in terms of marketing budget overall, I was thinking maybe now's the time we get the website done. And if we need more photography for the website,
Yes.
something that's always been lacking, that we hire a professional photographer, maybe for the next month or two, or whenever the flowers start to come out, so that we can get some results on the main street. And
Laura, I think that's a really good point. You know, we've always skirted around, like not doing a website, not getting a photographer, and now we're taking money away from our events. I think this is the time to do it, because we do not have great pictures of Creemore, and the pictures we do have are outdated, or there's snow seasons. If we hired a photographer for June and July to really capture Creemore and vignettes of Creemore, not just stores and that kind of stuff, I think it's money we're spending for sure.
Yeah, I had that as a follow-up for the social, and I think the thing there is it's not just June and July, but we take the money this year and make sure we have the 4 seasons photography done.
Yeah, but professionally done, not just a bunch of people that do it on Facebook.
And
like
then
professional.
make sure that we also don't, we do it in a way that it has some lasting power. So unfortunately, sometimes when we just take pictures of the streets, and it would be my only worry is that
that's why we get a professional to do it, right? Because then they would do it, they would capture it, what the essence of Creemore is.
Yeah, in a way, because unfortunately, some of the businesses might change. And so we spend a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden, within a year, the photography's updated again. And you hit it, Nancy, with the idea of what else around in the neighborhood and the rolling hills and
the old buildings. It's the it's the flowers in the park. It's the streetscape. It's not all the signage up and down, which is lovely signage, but it's like, yes, you're right, you hit it. The businesses change a lot, so if we just depend on the businesses to do it, and
Okay, let me get back to brass tacks here. So how much money do we want to put beside professional photography, which we can use for social or for the website?
So yeah, Laura, the only thing that I would say is I was going to talk about that today also.
Okay.
More so to say, if people were aligned, then I would go out and get the quote on what it would cost and get 3 different photographers to quote on it.
We suggest photographers?
Absolutely, and hopefully it's like more ideally it's somebody local, right?
Jessica
local,
Crandallmeyer. Jessica Crandallmeyer did shots for the New Farm last year, and they were incredible. She knows the community. She's very affordable. She will do an unbelievable job. She will not need any direction.
Okay.
So what I would suggest, if people have suggestions, just send them over. And I think what we need to do is scope out exactly what we need so that we're getting what we need. And there are, hopefully, I guess there'll be some extra stuff in there too, which is great. And then we also need to understand what we need from a website development. So Lori and I have been talking about the new website, and we've been admiring one that's the Allura BIA one. And what that actually would entail then is we would need actually a business photography from all the businesses. But the way they capture the business photography is not the outside of the store, but more what your inside is like. So the wares that you're selling, or an inside shot of the restaurant, or.
But for the BIA actual website, there's the problem again. Our businesses change so much, so there may be, out of 30 or 25 businesses on the main street, maybe 5 of them are going to be there in 3 years' time, or hopefully more. But they change so much. Maybe if we had just the BIA website, the links to the actual businesses, and then the BIA website is just the feel of the village. And the vignettes of the village.
There's a whole bunch of background information that goes into building the site to actually make the site really help promote Creemore, the village, and our businesses. And one of the key recommendations from Ben was that we actually idea of hosting our own business directory, and those business directories having links to everybody's site.
Yeah.
So there's a real science behind it. So I don't think we need to get caught up. Lori and I can make a recommendation on what the site architecture should look like, why it's important that we set it up. Again, this is coming from Ben. It was his recommendation. And based on that, we can get an actual shot list that we'll need for the actual website that we can work into the website development costs, and then get a shot list done for the other digital, I'll just call them digital assets that we need of the village and in the main street. But absolutely, the time is now to do it.
I think I'm jumping ahead a bit now, guys, because this was supposed to be a discussion about the budget. And so probably, Karen, I probably should have put marketing in before the budget. So I apologize because now
no, it's okay. It's just like you can't, how do you know what you're going to do with the budget if we're not sure what we're going to ultimately do, right?
Yeah, so maybe we should actually discuss marketing and then maybe come back to the budget, because here's my question is that once I take all these line items out of these columns and it's just zero beside events and certain things, where do I actually put that money? Like, do
I think that one of the things we might want to consider is supporting the businesses in purchasing some of the items that the municipality is recommending that we get. I think that right now that's an expense that people really don't need. It kind of adds insult to injury. That's one way we can help businesses that are up and operating. So if we could maybe move $1,000 and that can go towards printing and purchasing items like that, so that we can really help the individual businesses get that stuff, because none of these tools are helpful if we're not using them. And I just worry that the individual businesses can't really afford another $100 or $200 to make sure that they have the signage and whatnot that they need. So I would like to see some money allocated for that.
Absolutely.
I agree. So should we make a motion for that and add it into the budget to call it sort of COVID recovery funds?
Do you know how much you need yet? Like, this is what I mean, like you can do it, because the budget, if I'm right, once the budget is approved, the council is basically approving that we're going to spend $46,800. Every time we move a little bit of money from an event, because we underspent an event and spent a little bit more in Santa Claus Parade, I could be wrong, but I didn't think that actually has to be approved. It's just, in theory, we're spending $46,800, and we just move it as we need to spend it.
Movement of the budget items should be done, like, but the movement of the budget items is definitely something we should talk about, and a resolution is probably a great idea.
So I would say, once you know right now, because you don't know, once you know how much.
I would actually prefer just just because we're going to have to move pretty quickly on this. I think it's much more helpful if we have the number, and then what we can do is we can take that to Amanda. We can share it with our members. We don't have time necessarily to be bringing back another proposal, but if we know we have $1,500 to spend to support printing and materials for COVID communication with our members, then we can put that into the minutes right now. And then it's really clear in terms of the directive that I have as the treasurer, and then I can go forward and we can create some kind of a way to get that money and purchase those things. And we may actually be able to get items at a cheaper thing if we know that we're buying a number of them. Right. So if we can make that decision now, then the plan can come afterwards, but we don't have time to do another month.
Why don't we just take all that money that you just put out of events, $5,000, make a line called COVID-19. Don't even specify if it's printing or whatever, but then you've got up to $5,000 to support COVID-19 initiatives.
Okay.
I think it's actually only 3, Lori. Is it only 3 with the income removed, or 2? I'm sorry, I can't move the budget up and down.
Oh, sorry. Let me sorry. Yeah. So here we are at the income. Let's see, we've got 2,000.
So it was 3. So we're only looking at $2,000. So, but that's still significant.
So why don't we do? It sounds like, Sarah, you might want to make a resolution to put $2,000 towards COVID-19 recovery.
So what I would make a motion to do is, so the adjustments I would make would be to eliminate vintage, both income and expenditures that are currently sitting there under the Vintage Festival and Creemore Nights, and use the difference for COVID support for businesses in terms of marketing and media.
Yeah, just call it communications, and then
Yeah,
you
communicate.
you've
That's
got it
great.
covered.
Yeah, that's smart.
COVID-19 communications.
Mhm.
Okay. So do we have a, Kayla, are you okay with what Sarah just said?
Actually, I'll just jump in and say I think that's very good. I've been listening along, hoping that you were going to get to the point, but you recognize you just need to add a line that says COVID, and you're eliminating some of the things in your budget that are now passed, and you've eliminated the expenses, and you've also unfortunately eliminated the incomes. So, as Sarah said, to create whatever the balance is, create that fund, and then you can take this to your membership that you are creating a fund that will do specifically marketing, helping marketing resources for the recovery of the BIA.
Yeah, and we might find out
Totally.
we're going to have to pull more later, right?
You may very well, and I would encourage you to look at your events categories and realize that as this COVID disaster continues, we may see other events that may not happen. And so as a result, we want to recognize that we may have to move those funds from those events and do the same thing, put it into COVID to help market online sales or experiential events that you're going to do here. The whole idea is just to continue to lifeboat the organization until we can get back to normal, right?
Perfect. Okay, I love where this is going. So okay, so then sounds like Sarah sort of put together a resolution there. And
So I've super condensed it if you want to hear it. It's a motion to create a COVID communication, or do you want it communication/recovery fund or communications fund?
Can we just call it the COVID fund, and then we have
Yeah.
some flexibility, even if it ends up that we have a little extra money and we go and we buy bulk things for
Absolutely.
sanitizer for our whole membership, I think.
Yeah, sanitizing or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a motion to create a COVID fund of $2,000 through the funds, with funds from Vintage and Creemore Nights events, expenses, and income at this point? Or do you want to leave it more open-ended?
Not income, just the expenses.
Well, the net of it, right? So
Yeah, the net of the expenses less income.
Right.
Yeah, essentially we're just removing the items and then adding in a new item. So we're removing everything to do with Vintage Festival, everything to do with Creemore Nights, and we're adding in the COVID.
And everything to do with Easter.
Oh yes, and well, not everything yet. I want to make sure that we reimburse Darcy for anything she did spend, but yes, Easter as well.
So do you want me to condense it even further and say past events that didn't occur, or just continue to list them: Vintage, Creemore Nights, and Easter?
I was going to give you an actual dollar amount, and then it'll be, so there's $1,000 plus $2,000 minus, what's the income for
3,000.
So we were going to get $3,000 in income. Lori?
Yes. Am I on mute?
Then there actually isn't. So if we were going to get $3,000 in income for both Creemore Nights and the Vintage Festival. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. It's 3,000 minus.
Aren't you looking at about 1,500 plus the Easter?
Yeah,
$800?
it's just 1,500, but we're going to leave Easter as it is.
I think Easter we could make 5 and make it around 2, because I know Darcy.
It's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Even if she comes in a little, we'll fix it later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
So now you can just say we're doing a shift in income and expenses for events to make a $2,000 COVID fund.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Sarah, you're making the motion?
Yep.
And do we have a seconder?
Yep.
Sorry, I don't know who said
Oh,
yes.
sorry, Karen.
Karen, okay. And all in favor, say aye, because I can't see you.
Aye.
Okay, so that is motion carried. Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry, because I'm in this view of the spreadsheet. I don't have everybody's
Oh.
faces in front of me.
Yeah, I keep trying to scroll up and down on the Excel sheet and it won't move, and it's like, it's because
There we
it's
go.
fine.
That helps because I did. And now, are we happy then taking this budget to council? Is there any other proposed changes or something else you want to look at before we submit this to council for their consideration?
I don't think it matters again, Lori, because we can change it as we go through motions, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of it, we're just trying to get $46,800 approved to spend. And then as we work through the year, we'll change or save or move, but we just won't spend more than $46,800 in the year.
Okay. Okay, so then we will take this budget to the next council meeting for approval. Okay, so I think that wraps up really the finance section. I just wanted to make sure we were cleaning that up so it wasn't sitting there on the books. And then if everybody's happy with the budget the way it is or the way the draft is for now, we'll move on. Do I see anybody needing to say anything? No? Okay. Karen, do you want to, I know we sort of started out with marketing, and I'm sorry, I probably did it all backwards, but would you like to talk to us a little bit? Karen's been really working hard on a marketing plan for us in terms of social media and websites, and maybe you could just sort of fill us in on some of the work you've been doing this last week or two.
Yeah,
so
so
really share your screen there. So we're back to.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, really, I've just been working through the recommendations that Ben had shared with us and trying to just get our social channels pulled together and make sure that everything's registered properly, and we know who owns them, and we've got all the admins and passwords set up. So the outcome of it will really, from a social perspective anyways, just be a digital playbook. So in the digital playbook, we'll have all our social channels, we'll know how they get administered, who administers them, who has rights to go in and change them, and all pulled into one spot. The one issue, one thing that we're struggling with a little bit is the idea of who really should have the ultimate end power, lack of bad words, of our things. And what I'm finding right now, it's been very difficult because admins change, people change, the site's linked to somebody, or Facebook is linked to somebody's personal site, and it looks like it's owned by Firebeard and Axis, and it's really quite confusing. So I was wondering if there's anything at the municipality level that we should be looking to for as a housing for sort of our overall digital and social media assets. I'm not sure how it actually gets looked at the municipality level, and who owns all those sites. And Sarah was helping me out with some assets the other day, and I was kind of asking, who actually owns that? Did we pay for that? Did we purchase it? And she had an interesting comment that it really is the ownership of the municipality now. And don't know if that's right or wrong, but it just struck me that we really need to start organizing all of these, what I'll call assets, our social assets, our digital assets, and our physical marketing assets all in one place. And is the municipality the right place to start putting them all?
I imagine Doug will say the same thing, but I mean, whenever we create something as a committee of council, it belongs to the municipality. So everything that we do belongs to the municipality. Every photo we take, every, Facebook post, it is a municipal asset. Is that correct, Doug?
Yeah, that's the simplest way to put it. But the reality is, obviously, as a board, you're welcome to have your own access, passwords, etc., to manage the services. So, I mean, when you started there, Karen, you're one of the points that came up, because I'm familiar with the Nottawa Hall, and that is that we have a same kind of thing. We have a group of assets that we use, but we have people who change. They come and go, and who actually has the password anymore. So that's a concern. So our communications person at the township is Drew, and she in her desk keeps a very good file that outlines all of the various social media channels that the township has access to. And I would encourage you guys somehow to communicate with Drew, give her some passwords that she can store away in the event that she needs to access, or if somebody changes jobs and they're not here anymore. That's basically what we've done at the township. So it's a good practice. And but you are your own board, so you can manage the content on your own without the township being a part of it. But Sarah's right, there is a logistical ownership issue in there. Go ahead.
In terms of, can I just say, I think that in terms of managing the maintenance and keeping track, that should be a secretarial duty. Maintaining records of anything to do with our communications, I think if you look at the Constitution, does sit with the secretary.
So I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I'm saying that our secretary should always maintain a list of our passwords and everything, and then that we can create a policy. But I would recommend that the executive have access to understanding where all those passwords are.
Yeah. So I think that in going with that also is a policy of how we switch it all over when the board changes, so that there's something really, really clear that when the board, new board comes in, everybody else gets kicked off, and here are the people that get put on, right? So
exactly. I've done this with other committees. So what I've done is just create a really clear document, and then under each of the different things, whether it's the banking and everything, it clearly names the position of the people that have access, so it's consistent no matter what. And then you're just changing the contact information, and it's been quite an effective tool.
So hey, Heather, that's you right now, right? Is she the secretary? Are you the secretary?
I'm noting, sorry, yes.
Yeah, maybe I can help you with that.
Sure.
Over the next month, we can kind of get that organized, because I'm happy to do it. I've got the time. So happy to help you with that.
I have a template that I've used for another organization. It's just going through and making sure that you've got every single password. It's terrible.
Who has all this information now?
I've been trying to collect it for the last month.
Yeah, Lori and I have kind of cobbled it together. And for the most part, again, like I said, it's there, but it's just, there are some pieces that I'm trying to untie with the Facebook page, and it's almost impossible to get at. And then Sarah's got the password and the back end to the website, and we just to your point, just got to get cleared up. So that's one thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to add to that, and I've also been figuring out where all our domains are owned by, and it looks
right. Yeah,
I've been doing that myself, figuring out. I know Corey's company that he's now not part of, and there's another gentleman managing it, owns all the domains that we have. So I recently purchased them all back under the BIA's name, under the BIA's account. So that's another thing we need to add to the playbook is they're on my credit card right now, but I purchased them all back for the BIA because they're registered to a private company that, none of the board members are even on there. And I'm just so worried that one day those people will not renew it, or maybe they will. And so I just wanted to make sure that we were in control of what we renew and what we don't renew. Turns out we have 5 domains that we didn't even know about. So.
But Lori, can I ask where does the mailing of that information come, right? So this is where, for me, I felt like it's.
And that's part of this whole thing we're trying to sort out.
I think it needs to be the municipality again. Should
I put them in.
ultimately be the end address for these domains and stuff too, right? Because
The
that's
address
always there,
official BIA postal box address,
right?
which
So,
technically is owned by the municipality as well, I suppose.
yeah. But I think if we just loop in with the communications person and are really clear with, here's all our assets, here's what we own, here's where things get mailed to, that down the road, even if the whole BIA fell apart for a year and nobody was looking at it, and that was the year everything came due, all of a sudden we'd lose everything, right? And we have been like that before, where the board hasn't really been active, right?
So what it sounds like to me is that you and Heather are going to take an action to sort of gather all that information in a single document, like Sarah was suggesting, and then we put it on off to the township for safekeeping.
And there's probably some other things in there we can add, like who's got the keys to the garbage, who actually should have the keys to the garbage or to our storage shack, or, you know, whatever. And even, you know, if we want to get so much to say we're signing, you know, you've come on as president, you're going to sign out that set of keys. And then when you're not the president anymore, we bring them back in, right?
Who's the keeper of this information at the town?
I don't know. Doug was saying that it was Drew for the communication digital assets.
She's the communications officer, so she would have a lot of that. But if it's your personal accounts and stuff, we don't necessarily have that. If it does get sent to us, we'll keep it in file hold.
Who do we send it to?
If you compile it, I would absolutely send it to Drew. You can also send it to me, and I'll ensure that it gets put into a BIA folder within file hold, so our electronic copies have it as well.
Noted.
Okay.
Good job.
So
Nice. That I know it's crazy, but it's like it takes up so much time because we don't ever know where all this stuff is, that it's big on my list to just get it organized and get it all in one place for people.
Great. Okay. Anything you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, so just quickly. So we're going to get a quote. If people want to look at the Allura BIA website for inspiration, that's the direction we're looking at for the new Creemore site. And I'll be getting a quote on that and included in that, once you guys send me the photographers' names, getting some quotes for the photography for the site. And then we'll have to decide if we're actually going to go with someone who can build the site and actually write the content, or if we'll have to find someone to actually write some content for the site also. And then we've been starting to post on social media. I developed a little bit of a content calendar in May. Hasn't really worked just because of stuff that's going on, but just so you guys are aware, the basic buckets that we're using to develop the content are our shopkeepers, experience Creemore, our offers and promotions, and then COVID. And the idea is that 3 of those buckets, which could be COVID, shopkeepers, and experience Creemore, really are about 80% of the posts that we do, with only posting 20% of the time of actual just offers, price offers or discounts or that sort of thing, with the idea that our social media channels shouldn't just be about us promoting ourselves and our businesses specifically around price and offers, but more of the experience of Creemore. So by really layering into the buckets of our shopkeepers and experiences, not just in the main street, but of the Creemore area, give people more of a reason to want to actually follow us and engage in us. So we've had a couple of good posts that performed well, and it's early days, but you can see with the video of the tractor parade and the little Mother's Day post of the truck, far outperformed any single business posting on, hey, I've got something for Mother's Day, or hey, come and get this for $14.99. So it's early, but theoretically, the idea is we should be able to develop more followers and get more people engaged if we continue doing more content that really expresses the experiences in the place versus just what our businesses are offering people. And from Instagram, that one's a little more difficult also, because we really do need some beautiful photography for that, or real special moments. And again, not just posting things that people can buy. So that one, I'm still trying to figure out what the actual strategy around Instagram should be. But in the short term, we'll be using those same content buckets to push out information on Instagram also. And then, of course, sharing posts that our members also have. And then just really quickly, we did talk about the website, the photography and content writing, and and I think what we need to also do is just get aligned on if we have a tagline or not, because we tend to use Little Village with a big heart on things, or there seems to be some gravitational pull to that tagline, even when you're just watching what other people in the village post. And so before we do too much more, I think we need to get in a room and do a little bit of a branding exercise, just to make sure that we've started to articulate out what the actual Creemore Village brand is, the colors, the taglines, the sense of visual appeal that we want to demonstrate to people. So maybe in the next month or so, once things have calmed down in COVID, we can get a little workshop together on just bringing that sort of brand identity together on the village.
Great. I think Sarah.
Can I just make a recommendation in terms of the Instagram, which would keep us relevant and active, even if we're not able to produce content from the BIA thing, is just if people, our business members, are adding Creemore Ontario, it's super simple. It should come up in the feed of the person managing, and then you can just add it to the stories. And stories are quite popular, so it would be a quick and easy way to just get content. And it's also a really great way to connect users and build followers. So yeah, and it's a simple thing. You don't have to provide any content, and it just takes seconds to do.
I'm trying to do some hashtag searches with Instagram to really see what we should be tagging to help us gain that followership. And anyways, and there's some issues around if it's hashtag Creemore, hashtag Creemore experience Creemore. But absolutely, it's a good call out.
So this isn't about hashtags. This is when our business is actually at you and there's a notification, and then you just add it to your story. And each day, if we're all adding stuff, then you have content created by the individual business owners. So I don't know if you've done that before, but I also know that that's kind of the way the cool kids do it in terms of acknowledging one another.
Great. I'll look into it for sure.
And that might be something, Karen, too, that I think you're doing a great job, but also just even if you want to put any of those messages onto our Facebook group, you know, our private group for the businesses, about people, you know, continuing to use that Creemore Ontario, so that you can, you know, make sure that you see their posts and things like that. Feel free to like keep posting on there and asking people to use certain hashtags, or, you know, at Creemore Ontario, if that's what's determined. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's been a little bit just trying to figure it all out, and who we're following, and getting it set up where I have a consistent way to see all the posts, right? So I'm not quite there, but I'm almost there.
Okay, well, that's great. We do it. Thank you for taking on, because it's digital marketing right now, and I'm sorry that I'm not helping a lot. It's a huge undertaking, so I appreciate that you've sort of stepped up and agreed to take this on when it's a really busy time for a lot of people. So appreciate it, Karen. All right, Do we have anything else for Karen or any questions regarding marketing? Okay, I'm gonna move on to new business or unfinished business. Was there anything anybody had that they wanted to add into new business tonight? No, I don't see anybody putting their hand up. Okay, so I guess with that, we are, our next meeting is June 9th, but we may have to sort of talk again about certain COVID things because as you can all appreciate, everything is going to change in the next week, 2 weeks, month, I don't know, depending on if we open, we reopen, we partly open. So lots of new things going on. So stay tuned in case we need to have even just an informal chat about certain things as we move forward. Anything anybody else want to add tonight? Nope. Okay, then I think we will adjourn the meeting. Can we get a resolution or sorry, a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight? Sorry.
Motion.
I see
Adjourn.
is the seconder. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I know it's a long one. We've missed seeing all your faces for the last 2 months. So it was a lot to go through tonight, but I think we're on the right track and I'm really positive to see that everyone's trying so hard to work in these really difficult times. And I know you're all volunteers, so I do appreciate all your time. Okay.
That was a good meeting, Lori, and nice and positive. So
yeah.
very good.
Yeah,